Hello everybody and welcome to Collection Reflection. Today we will be reflecting on the new Epic Hero series, Venom. On the front of the box you can see that it's labeled as the Spider-Man line, with a nice picture of Spider-Man and his logo, but here you can see the name of the character, and at the top we can see a picture of the character as well as some epic gear inside. On one side of the box you get this awesome illustration of Venom with a nice little product shot and his accessory. On the back of the box you get the same kind of images that we had on the other sides, as well as some of the legal nonsense. And on the other side we get that same awesome illustration as well as the Epic Hero series being 4-inch or 10 centimeter figures. Top, bottom. I was able to find this figure in person at Target for about $11. Looking at the sculpt and paintwork on this figure, I was extremely impressed. You can even see that they individually sculpted all the teeth. His tongue does look a little strange, just kind of plugged in there, and it isn't removable. I'm pretty sure it's glued in, but it's made out of this nice soft material, so it is movable and flexible, but it's going to return back to its original S shape. All of the painted parts on this figure are actually raised up a little bit on the sculpt, which I think is awesome. It might be hard to tell, but you can see there that it's raised up a bit. Same thing with his eyes. I don't think I see any kind of paint imperfections at all. You can see that they even painted the white spot on the back of his hands, and that turned out very clean. I'm a big fan of these tendrils that they got sculpted onto the shoulders. It just gives a little bit more character and presence to this figure. I really like the way that his claw hands turned out. They even sculpted nails. I even think they did a great job on his monster toes. If I'm being completely honest, this is my preferred look for Venom. Let's move on to the accessories. Like the other figures in this line, I think Venom only comes with one accessory, but the one that he came with is really cool. He's got this nice Symbiote Ax, and it comes with a little clip to clip onto either one of his wrists. Check out all that sculpted detail. It snaps onto the figure without issue, and it stays on very well. I also like how they sculpted parts of the accessory to kind of wrap around his hand and his arm. That way it looks more organically forming out of his own body. You can flip the accessory around if you want, but it definitely feels like it's meant to be positioned in the other way. It also seems to work best on his right hand as opposed to this left one. Let's move on to the articulation. If you are at all familiar with the DC Spin Master line, then this is going to seem very familiar. He has 360 rotation in the head. I don't think it's a ball joint, so there really is no up and down and side to side. His arms can go 360. They go out about that far before the tendrils get in the way. If this bothers you, I'm sure that you could cut those tendrils off and get a little bit more range. He's got single jointed elbows that do go 90, and the elbow does swivel. He can do the full splits, and he can go forward that far and back that far. He has single jointed knees, and they will swivel. Let's check out some comparisons. First up, from Marvel Legends, we have the King in Black 2-pack Venom and Iron Spider-Man. For a couple of different anime comparisons, we have the Ultimate Legends Zenitsu and Dragon Star's Kid Buu. For our 5-inch comparison, we have from Dragon Ball Evolve, Vegito Blue and Broly. This is how Venom would fit into your DC Spin Master collection, and I think he fits very well. I guess you could argue that he should be a little bit bigger than Bane, but for the most part I think this scale works out. Comparing him to some Marvel retro figures, we have Captain America and their version of Venom. Bringing them in for a little bit of a closer comparison, you can see all the differences and similarities that are shared between these figures. With a similar price point, I think the Epic Hero series is much better. than the Marvel Retro series. When these figures were first released, I thought they were really great, but they were sorely lacking in articulation. And now with this new Epic Hero series, I feel like they're able to fix that mistake. For a vintage collection comparison, we have Darth Maul and Darth Vader. I think this scale also works out pretty well. And from the final faction, we have General Diabol and Amari. Both of those figures seem to be a little bit taller than Venom, and both of those figures have had the same articulation treatment that I gave to the Marvel Retro series. And finally, our favorite, Pumpkin Wrapper's head. I think this Venom figure turned out extremely well. All of the paint on this figure is awesome. The sculpt that they chose for this figure does feel fresh and new, but it's still very iconic in my mind. I've always been a huge fan of the DC Spin Master figures, but ever since they started doing their movie lines, in my opinion, the figures have kind of gotten worse. So it's really nice to see Marvel picking up that ball and running with it. This seems like a really good blend between the DC Spin Masters and the Marvel Retros. When looking for ways to enhance this figure, it's really hard to try to come up with something because I think they did such a great job on the paint, the sculpt, the accessories, everything. If I had to pick some things to enhance, I'd say it'd be nice if the tongue would be able to hold its shape in different positions, or even if it was removable, that way you could just have multiple looks for Venom. Also, having some kind of a waist rotation would really put this figure to the next level, because it's kind of hard to get those nice poses when the entire front of the figure is always going to be facing the same way. So is this figure worth collecting, or should it be reflected? I think this figure is definitely worth collecting. So let me know your thoughts. Would you like to see more reviews for the Epic Heroes? Or are you even excited about this new line? Also, I'd really like to hear what you think of the new set design. I know it might be a simple change, but I thought it would have a big impact on the way the figure looked during this entire review. What do you think? Should I keep this look, or should I go back to the way it was? I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you can find some time in your day to have a chuckle, and please, try to be nice to somebody, because it could really change their life. I'll talk to you next time.